Egypt has faced gas shortages due to Israel reducing supplies. Initially, Egypt relied on Israeli gas to meet its needs, but after achieving a surplus, it began exporting to Europe. However, recent conflicts have led to decreased production and halted agreements, forcing Egypt to seek alternative sources while facing potential economic repercussions. Egypt's gas dependency has shifted significantly due to both local and international factors. The country relied on Israeli gas after its own production declined, creating complex geopolitical and economic dynamics. An agreement with Israel to increase gas imports was intended to secure electricity supplies during peak summer months, underscoring the importance of energy security. The financial impact of gas trade has been significant. Egypt profited by reselling imported gas to Europe, especially during heightened geopolitical tensions with Russia. However, recent regional conflicts and reduced gas production have disrupted Egypt's energy strategy, triggering fears of power shortages and difficulties in fulfilling international contracts. Egypt is currently facing difficulties in maintaining natural gas supplies from Israel. Despite prior agreements, Israel has proposed reducing exports. This has pushed Egypt to explore alternative sources for its energy needs. During negotiations, Egypt demanded an increase in gas imports from Israel, from 1 billion to 4 billion cubic feet daily. But Israel's response contradicted earlier commitments. Israel's insistence on cutting supply while raising prices has further complicated the situation. Egyptian officials voiced frustration over what they see as a lack of adherence to agreements. In response to the impasse, Egypt is now seeking alternative gas partners. It has turned to countries such as Qatar, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia to help meet both local demand and its commitments to Europe. The crisis is worsened by the significant decline in domestic production. Egypt needs to import at least 160 shipments of liquefied natural gas, LNG, to cover local needs, especially during the hot summer months. In 2021, Egypt was producing about 7.2 billion cubic feet of gas daily, mostly from the Zohr field. That figure has now dropped drastically to around 3 billion. The Egyptian government has attributed this decline to extreme heat and increased consumption. However, some energy experts argue that the real issue may be technical damage within the Zohr field. To address the shortage, Egypt is pursuing 4 strategies: boosting output from existing fields, contracting new suppliers, and using floating regasification units to stabilize supply. Beyond energy logistics, the issue has taken a political turn. Israel appears to be using its gas exports as leverage to pressure Egypt over its position on the Palestinian issue. The reduction in gas flow and associated economic strain could potentially force Egypt to soften its support for Palestinians. Israel's gas pipelines to Jordan and their capacities are also an important factor in this geopolitical equation. These routes play a key role in the regional energy network. With rising temperatures, Egypt's electricity consumption is surging, adding stress to an already strained system. Coupled with foreign debt, this makes Egypt vulnerable to external pressures, especially from Israel. Historical comparisons are being drawn to Syria, where similar economic pressure preceded political unrest and leadership change. The warning is clear: external pressures can reshape a nation's internal policies. Today, Egypt faces a massive financial burden, needing to pay $3.5 billion to ensure the continuation of exploration and production. The government is actively negotiating long-term deals with global suppliers to secure its energy future. Israel's actions have had a severe impact on Egypt's energy position. Egypt is being forced to explore costly alternatives and accept higher prices, escalating the country's economic challenges. This marks a major shift. Egypt is transitioning from a gas exporter to a long-term importer due to dwindling reserves and shrinking output, an alarming sign for its economic stability. To avoid energy shortages, Egypt is under pressure to lock in future supply contracts. The crisis has underscored the importance of energy independence, especially in times of regional instability. Despite mounting economic and political pressure, Egypt is showing resilience. It continues to navigate these challenges while holding firm on its national positions, even amid pressure from both Israel and the United States. There are growing concerns that these pressure tactics aim not only to influence Egypt's policies, but also to destabilize the government itself, in a scenario reminiscent of Syria. Egypt's ongoing struggle with energy, particularly the dependence on Israeli gas, highlights the broader geopolitical risks it faces in the region. Perhaps the most difficult choice facing Egypt now is ethical. Resolving the gas crisis may come at the cost of compromising on Palestinian rights, a dilemma that weighs heavily on the country's leadership. Let me know if you'd like this prepared for voiceover, turned into subtitles, or formatted for a video script.